brand new purple light. Friends, brand new purple light. Friends, facts, brand new purple light. Friends, red and blue, purple light. Friends, facts. You can get to know the ledger, sacrilegious Sunday to melanin Monday. You can get to know the ledger, my love. Just open your third eye on Thursday. Lord, the food, the art, the clothes, the Vatican's getting exposed fast. We put the show on the road. You better stay on your toes. I was till the land focused on the ego. Then I opened my heart, let go of the ego. Grand after grand, we stacking up these C notes. Facts, facts, yeah. We gon' put this shit on our backs. Facts, facts. We in your city, pull up where we at. Facts, facts. Peace, love and light. Peace, love to the family. Peace, love and light to the family. Peace, love and light to the family.
These days and time, black man, is going to be the time that you have been waiting for. You came here for a reason. Whatever pressure, whatever adversity, whatever the fuck you feel, I don't know what you feel, but whatever you may be feeling is going to push you, and it's going to provoke you, and it's either going to make you or break you, similar to how pressure busts pipes or the shit makes diamonds.
Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Welcome to another Third Eye Thursdays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar, reporting live and direct. Yes, and that song that you just heard, that is the Facts remix performed by the 44 Tops. Give it up for the 44 Tops, y'all. Please give it up for the 44 Tops. All right. Let me know how we sound. Yes, sir. Shout out to everybody that was there on Black Magic 363. We was just over there. That was a classic episode. Shout out to everybody in the building. I didn't even say, yo, I should have told them we got the show coming up, but it was one of those things. All right. So yeah, we're gonna have a good conversation tonight. Tonight's gonna be a conversation. Tonight's conversation will be a continuation from the conversation that we just had on Black Magic. Shout out to 19 Keys. Shout out to B-Dell. Shout out to Abundance Child. Shout out to Brother Rich. You know what I'm talking about? And yeah, definitely instant classic. Shout out to So I want to talk about this. How many people in the building saw the movie Sinners? Because I don't like this is definitely a spoiler alert before we even continue off the rip. Spoiler alert. And this is not done in no type of malice way, but I have to use that disclaimer. Spoiler alert. Because I'm going in. I can't. You know what I mean? When I didn't see the shit and I heard people talking about it, I was like, no. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just find time and go get that. I'm gonna go see that. Let's go see that. Watch it. Get your. I mean, it is what it is, man. You know what I'm talking about? You could come back after you see it, or you could listen to it. So when you go into the movie theaters, when it happens, you'll remember it. And it'll these are like going into the movies with 3D glasses, right? If you listen to it now, you'll go into the movies with 3D glasses on because you're going to be able to see things that you probably didn't know that you were even supposed to pick up on. But I got to go in. I got to drop some information. I've been taking a lot of notes. This is a movie that you do not see one time. That's one of the ways that he's going to make his coins and whatnot, and why I'm sure he was negotiated the deal with the movie studio to get the rights back in 25 years, because this is going to be one of those classics that are just going to be seen by multiple generations. This movie is not going anywhere, and this movie is so powerful in the layers that it contains that it is going to disrupt. It's going to be something that's going to disrupt. It's going to be something that's going to cause um a disruption, right? It's going to cause, when I say a disruption, this is what I mean. There's a lot of there's a lot of people, just period, that are going into the church like that's the final answer. You know what I'm saying? They just going right back. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, imagine landing at the airport and then you getting right back on a plane. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of people is going into the, you know what I'm saying? They're going into the church. Amen. And this movie is showing you through parable, through genius writing, might I add. Let me do the roll call before we even get into it. I gotta stick to I gotta I gotta stick with the program. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead, and the ceremony has to remain as how it always is. We got to do the roll call before we even begin. That's like pouring out the water. That's like pouring out the libations for the ancestors. We're gonna charge up the grid now. We're gonna charge up the grid now. You feel me? We're gonna charge up the grid now. Everywhere where we at, that's where it's at now. You know what I'm talking about? Everywhere, there we go. Mississippi right here in the building now. Everywhere that we at, that's where we at. Right? That everywhere where we say we at, that's where that's where it's popping at. You feel me? So shout out to everybody in the building. You know, shout out to everybody in the building. Indianapolis, DMV, Greenville. We got Bay. We got Texas. We got Missouri, Kansas City. We got Ann Arbor, Michigan. What up, though? Memphis, Tennessee. You know what I'm talking about? Huh? Detroit. What up, though? Huh? H-Town. We got Cali in the building. Feel me? All of these magical places. Pomona, Cali. Everywhere that y'all tapped in is somewhere mystical. How about that? Gibson, down by the bayou. Everybody. I don't make these things up. Y'all will rewind the shows later in the future and see for yourselves that people were tapping in. And then if you do if you do a Google cross reference, it's mounds in all of these places. Ancient lands, you know what I'm talking about? So it's like the movement is moving. This is a smaller channel. The movement is moving, right? We're tapping in from all over. Shout out to the global family. You feel me? Shout out to that's how we get this work. You know what I mean? That's how things like Sinners are getting. That's how movies like Sinners are even getting made and whatnot, because the fact that the grid is being charged up. One person to tell a person to tell a person to tell a person. The community the quote unquote the negative ionosphere of the black community is charged up with consciousness. And our people, right, they're showing us through entertainment, they want consciousness, right? Through the entertainment, they want consciousness. That's what they react to. And you could tell a good story and you could wake people up through one of the most powerful mediums, which is what? Film, right? One of the most powerful mediums, which is film. It remains to be the motion picture, right? That is one of the most powerful mediums. Henceforth, while we're pushing with the fantasy complex industry so we can empower creators in our network to go ahead and make cartoons, comics, toys, animation, video games, movies. You're going to be able to do this. You're going to, I mean, you literally could do it now, but you're really going to be able to do this in the near future. Right? You feel me? And if you didn't know that the time was now, then I really don't know what to say. This conversation is for the initiates only. I gain nothing by trying to convince anybody to see things the way that I see it. And that's not me being arrogant nor cocky and whatnot. It's just it was confirmation when I saw the movie. What they're telling you is we have to stop letting people in. The only way that we let them, the only way that they get in is because we let them in. The only way the evils get in is because we let them in. How many times have we answered that knock at the door, though? You know what I mean? How many times have we as a people answered the knock at the door? Right? Just think about that. Not to point fingers or to be judgmental and whatnot, but the evils knock at the door all the time. And we let them in. The devil says, what? He says, I just show up. They let me in. Right? The evils. The devil says, I don't force myself on these niggas, God. I'm knocking your holes. You said that they wouldn't, that they unknockable. I'm out here knocking them. What are we talking about? Right? What are we talking about? That's what the devil says. He says that I'll trick them with quote unquote the illusion, with the Maya, with temptation. Right? And what would they succumb to? They will succumb to lust. The movie is called Sinners. Everybody in the movie is a perpetual sinner in the eyes of both the society and the Mississippi Delta at that time, which would be through the lens of a black Christian society and whatnot, or through society's moral viewpoint and whatnot. Everybody would be considered a sinner. You know, he who has cast their stone, right? One of the main characters, the actual the mid scene, the act that turned the whole movie around, was one of the main characters falling, right, for his lust, okay, and being taken out, right, becoming a casualty because he was supposed to stay focused. He was supposed to stay on his square. He was supposed to stay, upright. He was not supposed to succumb to the girl, Mary, seducing him, taking him into the room and whatnot, and unaliving him and turning him into a quote unquote vampire, right? And that was the red twin. He got caught by a succubus, right? White girl Shannon Sharp type of time. You understand? The great divine speaks through signs. There were so many conversations that were going on simultaneously since this movie came out, from the Pope dying to Shannon Sharp losing his career over what? Over a Mary, right? Over a succubus, a 19-year-old. You know what I'm saying? And he's saying all type of crazy things. You know, his his proclivities, right, are being exposed to the world, right? So his quote unquote, you know, all of his freakiness of his private life, he is being exposed. And he's being sued now for grape. And there's so much videos on the internet of people warning him what not to do. It's so many videos of what the character that we had in the movie who represents so many mothers, so many quote unquote seers, so many brujas, so many readers and whatnot, so many oracles, right? That would be the lovely Alice, right? She was the woman with, she was the oracle. She was the one with the wisdom. Monique played that role on Shannon Sharp. Cat Williams played that role on Shannon Sharp's couch. So many people who came before him tried to warn him because they were able to see something in maybe his future that he didn't see. It's not unbelievable. It's not impossible. They probably was able to, they threw that warning out there, but I guess he didn't listen. Right? So Annie was a very pivotal character in the whole movie. I said boldly on Black Magic 363 that she was the most important character in the movie. And what I mean by that is when I look at the movie, if she was not included in the cast and if she was not a part of that movie, then the movie would have went completely different to whereas those vampires would have wiped out that whole juke joint and nobody would have had protection. They wouldn't have known how to kill the vampire. They wouldn't have known nothing about garlic. They wouldn't have known nothing about pickle juice. They wouldn't have known nothing about steaks and whatnot. They would have been all game goofy and they would have got wiped out by those very bloodthirsty Europeans, the Irish Remick, and the two KK members, right? They took the KKK, which was part of the hate, right? Because there's two apparitions that they're revealing in this horror movie, which also was a love story and it's also a thriller. It merges and it Ryan Coogler, he's such an expert as what he does and whatnot. He was able to give you a fusion of different genres and he weaved it together seamlessly. You know what I'm talking about? There were cultural nuances in the movie that people of today were able to relate to, right? There were so many historical Easter eggs and tropes and whatnot, ways that he's able to teach people through what's that joint? The Mississippi Delta, right? Showing the whatchamacallit, the Asians that were in the Mississippi Delta. Now people are going to study that. They're going to find out about that and things of that nature. They're interested in, in the history of that. Even Asians, they're like, I didn't even know about that, you know. There's a lot going on with this movie. I'm going to show some slides, right? However, this is not the official decoded, right? Keep that in mind. This is not the official decoded. That will be done with my twin brothers, Smoking Stacks. We got to do it together. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be yeah, we're going to go all the way in with this one. I'm letting you know. We're going to take this one where it needs to go. So just look out for that. That'll be coming up. More than likely, that'll be on Zoom only because I can't play video. I'm going to be playing hella videos. I'm going to be playing, I need to play clips from the actual movie and stuff like that. And YouTube is not, they're not rocking with us in that degree to whereas they just letting shit like that slide. They'll cut the whole stream right away. You know what I'm saying? So we'll let you know what that's coming up. There's also a lecture coming up for my monthly lecture. I was going to make the announcement tonight, but I'm going to hold off on that because, you know, it's a lot going on. All right. But when y'all hear it, y'all going to know that that's a bona fide. That's an instant classic. When y'all hear who it is and the temperature of what's going on right now, yeah, instant classic. We're going to cook on that one. You know, we're going to be in the kitchen whipping some whipping it up. Whipping it up like fricassee. So yeah, let me see. I'm gonna go through some slides real quick. I'm gonna go through some slides. And then I'm gonna talk about some things as well. So real quick, let me just give a rundown of I'm gonna go through some of the notes to give a pretext and a context. Even when you come back and you didn't watch it, come back when you watched it and just walk with me, right? So the main protagonists in the movie are the twins, the smokestack twins. So in this movie, it opens up with the smokestack twins. These twins are gangster twins, right? Who just came back from Chicago and they was running with Al Capone, right? They were shooters, they was hitters, they're World War I veterans, twins, and they're gangsters. And it's Michael B. Jordan playing the same role as a twin, right? The Abeji, right? So in the hero's journey, they're not starting their hero's journey. They're on the hero's journey when you leave home and you go on a hero's journey, and then you're returning back home after you've conquered and after you've defeated the quote unquote foe, like in video games, Lord of the Rings type of things. When you go back to your city or your village and they hail you, shout out to Nashawn. Yes, super legendary. You see how it's downloading, right? It's still unfolding. So that's the importance of what we're seeing, right? This is a movie. The smoke's name is Elijah, right? Who happens to be a prophet from a Hebrew prophet from ancient Israel, right? Smoke is Elijah, right? Smoke is Elijah, and that's the blue twin. It opens up. They got a red hat and a blue hat. I'm gonna let my ego talk. I was trying to, I don't want my ego to go crazy and make this thing about me. But me and Blue will do more of the twin type of comparison things when we do the Wonder Twin things, because it's worth noting, right? But when I sit back and think about it, Michael B. Jordan did a great job. However, in the age of AI, I'm just gonna have to insert me and Blue into that movie role because I needed the real twin dynamic. Not to say that he didn't pull it off, but CGI don't match real twin dynamic. One, two, he's a great actor. He could have played a supporting role, but me and Blue could have nailed that. If they sent us the script, we could have nailed that. That wasn't, not to say that wasn't a layup. We could have nailed that. We could have did that. So I'm gonna make it my duty to utilize. If I gotta pay thousands of dollars to use these AI tools, I need to reenact that whole movie, because that shit was definitely speaking to my soul. Like, bro, this is a snapshot. This is who y'all would be in the 30s. You and Blue. For real. This is who y'all would be in the 30s. Y'all in the juke joint. We were promoters in a juke joint called Club Cheetahs. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all running with y'all hitting trucks and whatnot. We hitting Macy's. We was doing the same. We doing cotton reparations. They was out there driving past brothers picking cotton. Dodging the chain gang. We was dodging the chain gang. Like, you know what I'm talking about? It was a lot of similarity. But let's continue. They going to Mississippi, which is the Delta, right? Yes, in the heart of this shit, Mississippi, right? They have coin necklaces. Both of the twins have coin necklaces, right? How there's coin necklaces. They have talisman. So they're wearing talismans, like me and Blue wear talismans, right? We have juju bags. When I started teaching, when I started out in 2005, I got blessed with a juju bag from a bruja, Sister Majade, right? There's a sister named Sister Majade. Y'all would know about her. If you don't know about her, just ask about her. She used to make us talismans, bro. She used to make talismans. She was married to Azariah, who was an occult master, right? On levels where him and, you know what I'm saying, like him and Bobby was doing lectures together. Um, she put talismans on us all the way back in the days. That shit was the shit opening up portals, bro. I shit you not. I promise you. This is not, I'm not hallucinating. These talismans that she made for us were magical. They were protecting us from being seen. They were shielding us. They were saving us. They were keeping demons off of us. They were keeping vampires. I was standing on 125th Street, shielded up. You feel me? Ain't feared nothing. Ain't fear 1 minute out there. Ain't have no fearful thought. Maybe if I did, it was for 5 minutes. Facts. I'll just keep it a buck. It's 5 minutes out of that whole 20-year run. I felt protected by these crystals. You know what I mean? I felt the protection, my auric field. I just felt the protection of the team as well, not just me. The power of Sinetta, the power of Dr. Jack Felder, who was militant. He's a part of Dr. Ben's entourage, the pantheon of the academic master teachers. Yeah. And then there was Shabazz. There was Melchizedek down the block with the Nation of Islam and the God bodies. We were out there guarding. We were out there guarding, bro. I can't wait till that movie comes out. But check it out. So there was 6 major religions that were depicted in this movie, which is interesting. Keep in mind, this is about Elijah and Elias, right? Smoke and stack. You know what I mean? Smoke and stack. You know I'm gonna have fun with the rhymes with that. Um, in the third scene, right? He has a mojo bag, right? He's protected by the mojo bag, right? The blue is protected by the mojo bag. And in the third scene, right? Because there's 3 scenes of in movies and whatnot. In the third scene, he removes the mojo bag and he martyrs himself, which was his protective bag. This is going to cause a uptick in the intake. That people's lives going to be saved. People are going to be able to step into a new realm of their journey and whatnot. That's the power of movies. Movies move people. Movies start movements. You know what I mean? A movie will influence you. A movie will push you to do something. A movie will have you acting a certain way. A movie will make you go and get some shit. You know what I mean? A movie will make you go and create some things. Movies move people. So people are going to start saying, I want my juju bag. The movie laid it out. We live in such a day and time. The time is so perfect with this MAGA shit going crazy. The MAGAs are the KKK, right? Boss hog people who are setting them up, right? In order to slaughter them, right? Inside of a slaughterhouse. The juke joint was really a slaughterhouse. Look at the deception. The same house that burnt down, right? That what happened with Malcolm X said, Martin Luther MLK said, I fear that I have integrated you into a burning house. So in the dance sequence, there was quote unquote bending time and space and merging all timelines together and whatnot to show you that music transcends time and space. Henceforth, why music is on the second level or the second tier of masonry, right? On that ladder is number 2. You know, I'm talking about music is the time machine. Music opens the portals. Music bends time and space. Music is where man could go from mortal to immortal and whatnot. Music is where somebody from the trenches of Jamaica can become world boss. World boss. Through the music, right? Pied Piper is very magical. It's very mystical. 6 major religions were depicted. Hoodoo, right? Hoodoo as the good old backwood religion that a lot of people are not familiar with. Shout out to my peoples in Sapelo Island. I was able to go over there. It's a mystical island right off the coast of Savannah, right? I highly recommend that y'all go with us on a trip. We're putting a retreat. We're putting something together to go to that ancient land and whatnot, right? So that's one religion, right? Shout out to everybody in the hoodoo religion. Then you have vampirism. Okay, vampirism is a religion. Vampirism in the movie was shown as through the lens of, you know, the key vampire, which was from Ireland, an Irish vampire, okay, and vampirism. And then you have the Choctaws, who were the vampire hunters, who have the Native American religion, and that was depicted. And then you have Christianity, that was the father of Preacher Boy, right? It opens up in the church, it ends in the church, it shows you through the parables that he made the decision to go with the music over the church. They show you in the movie that the prayer did not work against the vampire. He actually finished the prayer. So that was not the salvation. That's not where it was. That was the shit that they couldn't let in. You understand? It showed you in the movie that they chose the talent, the natural skills of the music over the organized church. KKK, which is also a religion, they have a Quran. They have something called a Holy Quran. They are a quote unquote satanic cult. Okay, they are satanic cult, and they talk about them in the movie as the hates and whatnot, who are possessed by jinns and spirits and all type of quote unquote. You know, they are not vampires. They're the level underneath vampires. Blues music shows up as a religion. Blues music was known as the devil's music. The guitar was known as the devil's instrument. All right, they fought against it. They did not. They persecuted people for playing it and whatnot. And the blues music has a power to it because skilled musicians they were able to open up portals. You understand? They were able to open up. They were able to lift the veil between life and death. All right. They were able to build bridges and whatnot between the worlds. This is what they're able to do with the blues music. So people who were in the South, the deep South, they were persecuting it. They were definitely calling it the devil's music, secular music. And they were saying that you will let the devil in. The movie shows you that the devils or the vampires came to the juke joint because they heard the music. The person that they were most interested in the whole movie was Sammy because of his musical skills and whatnot. They just wanted to absorb him. They wanted to make him one of them. They wanted to culture vulture him. They wanted to take him into their folds and lock him into contract and perpetuity, control his lightness, control his energy, control his spirit, control his aura, control his everything. You know what I mean? And try to break him and turn him into, you know, the Walking Dead. Put him on drugs. You feel me? Hook him up with some type of weird people and whatnot. You know, all of the things that they do to the to the stacks of the world, you know, to the stacks of those stacks is P. Diddy. He showed up with a Coogee on in a link in the 90s with his pink toe on his side, bro. You know, how many people know stacks? You know, right? He was the one that they used to basically turn people into the vampires at the all white party, right? Where they invite everybody over and they do them like they was gonna do smoking stacks at the juke joint. They do it at the all white party. They do it at the Diddy party. They do it at the Mike Rubin party. They do it at the Epstein party. The lights go out and it comes back on, and everybody in there got fangs and claws, and they eat whoever's in there, and then the next day those people are living dead vampires. You think that's a far fetch? I don't. So in the movie, there was a prayer that was said, and the prayer was Corinthians 10:13. No temptation have overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. Right? And that did not work against the quote unquote living dead. All right. That did not work against the living dead. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist when you hear that and when you see that to know what the fuck is being said and whatnot in so many ways. Like it cut right through all of the BS and got right to it. It told you what's popping and what's not. Right? It told you what's popping and what's not. So what they said in the movie with the vampire, because remember, this movie is a take on vampire movies. It's not the classical vampire movie. It's not Lost Boys. It's not the it's giving you enough, because Lost Boys was a take on it changed the vampire movie. It was a different take on a vampire genre, right? So this movie, which by the way is a continuum, right? I should have started this whole conversation by qualifying. This movie is a continuum of about 3 other movies or 3 other shows and whatnot. That being Lovecraft Country, the other movie being American Gods, and the other movie being The Watchmen. Okay, that's the continuum. This is a part of a continuum. It's not a standalone. This is a continuum. These movies, they have scenes like that. They had a scene like that in Wu-Tang. They had a scene like that in Lovecraft Country, the dancing scene where they was inside of the juke joint and they were bending dimensions and whatnot by going in and doing these dances, right? That is seen, okay, in other quote unquote depictions, but this was the one that nailed it and immortalized it and just improved upon it, right? But this is continuously being shown to us time after time. But this is what they said about the curse. This is a vampire movie, but it's showing you that the vampires are different in this movie. One, when they bite you, you turn into a vampire almost right away. It takes you a few minutes versus how the other quote unquote vampire movies were depicting the turning of a vampire. No, this one, they're turning into a vampire in about 5 to 10 minutes. Then they say that the curse traps the soul in the body, right? So when they turn you into a vampire, it traps the soul into the body and it takes over the body, right? And you're unable to move into the afterlife that awaits them. So they're unable to move into the afterlife that awaits them. They're trapped in the body. Okay. This is what their version of vampires are, right? Okay. And then the parable of the vampirism in this movie is that these people, this was a group of, it was an Irishman and 2 KK members, and they wanted to get inside of the juke joint because they heard the sound and they heard the song and they heard the musical mastery of Sammy. And they wanted to absorb that. They wanted to take that. They wanted to culture vulture that. They wanted to quote unquote conjure that, right? They wanted him to be a part of their DEI diversity program so they could feed off of him, feast off of him, get flavor from him, become more quote unquote musical because of him, right? They started dancing even a little bit better after they started biting, after they started turning a bunch of black people who came outside of the juke joint, right? But Sammy was tempted to quote unquote take a offer to sell his soul and whatnot, and he refused to sell his soul. He did not go, he did not sell his soul. That's the only thing separating them that are not like us and they that are us. That's the only thing separating them, is the ones that didn't sell their souls. Other than that, that you don't know that person, you know? You don't know that person. So in this movie, vampires are bulletproof. You know what I'm talking about? Um, vampires are bulletproof. Um, you can only kill them with a stake to the heart and garlic, right? They hit him with pickled garlic. They hit him with pickled garlic, and it basically, he was allergic to that. That shit hurt him, right? So let me just get to Sammy, who is the twins. It starts with the twins. The twins are the Abeji. The twins are the pillars. The story starts with the pillars, and everything in between is the arch degree. So Sammy is the arch degree. Sammy is the main character, main focus. Sammy is Heru in the Asaurian myth and whatnot. He's on his hero's journey. Sammy starts out in the church. Sammy starts out with his father. Sammy father tells him don't go. Sammy goes. Sammy goes on a trip. Sammy goes on a journey. Sammy goes into the unknown. Sammy goes with the twins who open up the portal. Sammy goes into his quote unquote music and whatnot. Sammy taps into his power. Sammy has a guitar with him, and Sammy doesn't know that that guitar is basically like a magical wand. That guitar took him all around the world, because even at the end of the movie, when Sammy was an old man, Sammy still had the magical guitar. Guitars were called the devil's instrument. Guitars are shaped like women, right? Guitars are portal openers. Victoria white women started out playing guitars, and black women called it the devil's music. Okay, I'm just saying that's what's on the records. All right, that's what history said. um Sammy's father, who's the preacher, right? And he's known as Preacher Boy, right? He goes on a hero's journey, right? The Abeji lead him into the underworld, okay? The Abeji lead him into the underworld. Along on their journey, they're picking up other people to go with them to the underworld on this trip to the quote unquote underworld, right? They're taking them into the quote unquote underworld, into the quote unquote juke joint that the parents and the elders and the old people said where the devil was, or where the devil was tempted to be, or where the Jezebels and all of these, it was secular. They spoke down against it, right? They say playing music late at night attracts the jinn. That's said in Islam. That's said in Christianity. That's said in so many cultures and religions. This is not just down south in the Delta. This is not just down south in the Delta. In Islam, they ban music. In Islam, they ban music, right? In the more conservative Islam, music is banned, right? They say that's the possession of the jinn, that the jinn possesses through the music. So they ban it in the most strict of places, and other places they keep it regulated. You know what I'm talking about? But Sammy's music was said to collapse time and space, right? In the movie, they show you it. And even the vampire Remy says it, right? He's like, yo, Remy. So just put Clive Davis in Remy's position, and it would make sense. So Remy is Clive Davis, Remy is Lyra Cohen, Remy is those vampires that will come to one of these rappers' cities, go to their shows, be outside their mama house, be outside their mama job, be outside their probation office, be outside the chicken shack where they get wings and rice from, right? That's what Remy represented, right? Remick, right? Remick represented the quote unquote bloodthirsty vultures, bloodthirsty, bloodlusting, right? They want your blood. They want your blood, right? How don't yeah, they want the energy, the energy that they get from these artists that they sign into these deals for perpetuity, right? That's energy. That's the blood force. That's the life force from these artists. These artists are getting sucked dry and leaving this planet and whatnot without enjoying the fruits of their labor, in heavy debt and whatnot, being tricked in contracts and whatnot, and not receiving their lion's share of the work that they put in. Okay. Vultures, vampires, right? Parasites. Okay. Parasites. You seen how they acted when Ryan Coogler tricked them and whatnot and got that deal in Hollywood. Now they're panicking. You see how they acted when China started exposing that they were feeding and feasting off of people and marking things up and and robbing and dig in the pockets of the consumers in America, and they exposed everything. That was a trade secret. They broke a trade secret. China decided to go ahead and break the trade secret and tell the truth. I imagine how many other quote unquote secrets and pacts they have with the quote unquote oligarchs and the beast, right? So Sammy's music was more powerful than the church. Sammy's music is the magic. I could do magic. I could do magic. Sammy collapsed time and space in the movie. He connected the past, the present, and the future. He brought infinite dimensions and timelines together. There's a mid scene in the movie, which is going to be one of the most historic scenes in Black cinema. It's going to resonate for many, many years moving forward, and it's showing everybody that all of this shit is connected. They owe Black Dot a huge check. No disrespect, respectfully, like on the real, like the people who are source material that's honorable, put it on a record so they could put it in the Library of Congress who these inspirations are. But definitely Black Dot weaved that together many, many years ago in his book to show how everything is connected and how this whole shit is ancient and whatnot and it's magic, you know. And Sammy is the musician. Sammy is the magic. The twins don't do music. Sammy is the musician, right? Sammy is the magician. That's who the vampires are after him. He says, I'll let everybody live if you just give me him, right? I'll let everybody live if you just give me him. There's situations like that. Yeah, Sammy Davis, right? We got to see the similarities in those two. There's situations like that where they'll come to the projects that are at war and be like, "Yo, I just want him. I just want this artist. I want to take him and exploit him." You know what I mean? And he'll come back and get y'all. Um, the way that the vampires were able to infiltrate is that you had to let them in. There's this whole thing about them having to get let in they didn't come inside of the juke joint because nobody wanted to let them in. So until you allow somebody to come in, until you allow hip hop to get infiltrated and watered down, until you said, nah, I'm not, I don't like, I'm just doing this to get money. I don't even like hip hop. And you just say, y'all could just come and run a train on her. We don't care. We not protecting her. You know what I'm talking about? We not putting no cover on her. We're not coveting her, right? Because hip hop is still music. Last time I checked, it's the most powerful form of music. And dudes is pimping it. You feel me? They running trains on it. They dragging it. You know what I mean? They throwing it around and whatnot. They're doing all kind of heinous things to it, but they're not embracing it. They're not upgrading it. They're not doing that. They're not doing that. I'm gonna bring Adika Butler on the show so we could talk about the I Imagine Nation, and we could talk about occult writing and whatnot, and what it's gonna take for us as a community to get into the creative writer workshops. If they excited about this movie, then they supposed to be excited about your movie, because your movie is going to be deeper than that. If they're excited about this movie, then they should be. Then who's they that's not like them, our people. I'm not appealing to nobody else. I don't need to. We got enough numbers, my nigga. You know what I mean? It's called overkill. I don't need 100 million. Like, we have enough people. If we got 100,000 people that are paid supporters of any projects that we put out and premiere, if we have 100,000 solid paid supporters, and you could do that with the blockchain and the smart contract, you could lock that shit in, so you know that it's real. If you could have that, anything that you put out, you could basically disrupt the entire quote unquote fake ass music industry. I'm here to be a disruptor. I'm not here to be a part of the chattel. I'm not here to be a part of the same old, same old. I'm not here to go outside and chill with Remick and them. I'm not letting them in the house. You understand? I can't do it. I can't do it. We standing in the front of the juke joint, and we holding the fucking fort. We're not letting, like, I'm not letting nobody on this platform. There's Remic vampires. I'm not letting no vampires into my house. I'm not letting no vampires into Edgewood. I'm not letting no vampire. And y'all heard me on this channel talk about the vampires in the West End and other things. The vampire consciousness that's out here. Y'all heard me, and y'all seen it on the. We've addressed the vampirism on YouTube. You know, so I want to see the backstory of the Choctaw Indian vampire hunters. I want to hear their backstory. I could go for like 3 spinoffs of this movie. I want to see Red and Blue Stacks, Smoking Stacks in Chicago. You understand? I want to see them in Chicago with Al Capone, and I want to see them in World War One. So Michael B. Jordan got a whole movie in that. A spinoff of the twins. I want to see them in Chicago on that gangster shit, and I want to see them niggas at war in World War One. Give me the backstory for that. I want to, they'll see the scenes with the father being it, and all of that. I want to see that. Then I want to see the Choctaw movie when they was vampire hunting and explain how the Europeans who came over here, remember, they brought vampires over here when they brought the prisoners out of the jails and whatnot, and they took a lot of the quote unquote the degenerates out of Europe, which were like Jack the Rippers and the mentally insane, you feel me, and the possessed and whatnot, and some of these quote unquote filth, right? And amongst all of that were these vampires, because they can't live amongst righteousness. They can't live amongst cleansiness. They can't live amongst sun gazers. They lived amongst the underworld, the people who come out at night, the freaks in them. You know what I mean? That's where they exist at. They exist in the clubs. They exist in the discotheques. They exist in wherever parties took place and ceremonies and whatnot. Not in the daytime. I live in Atlanta. It was always a running joke that even when you're on a highway and when you're moving around Atlanta, there's a part of Atlanta that you'll never see in the daytime. People that is. There's people that you see at nighttime in Atlanta that you'll never see in the daytime, ever. And people will ask themselves, well, I guess they work or something. They might work for the government. They might. Nobody in Atlanta works, by the way. Let me just add that on. And the people that I'm talking about, they're not workers. They're not workers. They're outside at night spending $100,000. Okay, every other night. They're not workers, and they only come out at night. So vampirism is real. In the movie, they have the vampire. He's introduced into this movie by running from the Choctaw Indians, who are basically chasing him as the sun is going down, and he's being burnt by the sun. His whole body is burnt up and whatnot. Where have we seen that before? And he gets rescued by a group of white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, right? He's an Irish man, and these are wasps. And when they open the door, you see that they have KKK robes in there. So they're KKK members, okay? Part of a hate group, right? Who are one level underneath vampires, or they're one level underneath the quote unquote true lizards. So when you think about it, they showed it in Lovecraft, they showed it in Watchmen, that they are the Husks, they're the walkthroughs, they're the Golem and whatnot. The KKK trailer trash and all of them, they're like literally pigs who are, sliced genetically to be humans and whatnot. They are the wooden soldiers. They're not that, and there's people behind them that are utilizing them, as how people may utilize pigs in a pigsty to just eat up everything. they're not even the biggest threat, but they're like walk through. They could be controlled by these demonic entities who actually, are like vampires, right? But in the movie, they showed you that they turned them into vampires, right? So you have people from like Is It Real, right? Netanyahu and them. These are vampires. You got these people that are eating babies and whatnot. These are vampires. You got these people that got these whole underground networks of harvesting humans and everything. All type of, stories about these vampire like people that like to eat humans and bloodletting. There's rumors about bloodletting. How far back? You got Vlad the Impaler and all of this stuff. This always been out there, right? So these people have now basically the movie showed you what if one of them got into government 10 years later, all of them are now vampires, right? So it's these people from these places that are like in Dubai. The new season of Interview with a Vampire is out. The vampires are in Dubai. They went from New Orleans to Dubai, right? They got the vampires in Dubai. They got the vampires in Tel Aviv. They got the vampires in Saudi Arabia. They got vampires in Nigeria. There's certain places where those havens or those covens and whatnot are strong. They pop out for Mardi Gras, you know. They pop out for Mardi Gras, right? So they try to get into the juke joint and they get denied entry by the twins, right? This is the Irish. The Irish after he turns the KKK into the vampires, Remick, they go to a juke joint. And this is the juke joint that the twins have opened up. So when they came back to Mississippi out of 7 years in Chicago with Al Capone, they were able to hijack some booze and some spirits and whatnot. They came back with the spirits, right? The twins on a hero's journey came back from the underworld of Chicago with spirits, right? Back to the Mississippi Delta, and they get in touch with their cousin Sammy, who's a musician, and they open up a juke joint, right, where they do the music, where they do the ritual, where they create the magic, where they open up the portals, where they quote unquote bend the timelines and whatnot, and where the magic takes place, right? The twins that are the twin pillars, Boaz and Joachim. You know what I'm saying? They set up the portico, they set the pillars up, they buy the quote unquote cotton gin, which happens to be a slaughterhouse, right? We find that out, and then keep in mind when they were dancing inside of the cotton gin, it burnt down. So that's the MLK burning, integrating into a burning house and whatnot, and a burning house, dancing in this burning house, because that integration that was in that house that burnt down was Mary and Alice, right? Who showed you in the movie that both of them infiltrated, and they were the ones who fucked everything up. Okay. The house was burning down because they were dancing in a juke joint. It was integrated, right? And it didn't work because when the shit hit the fan, they crossed us, right? They are running another race for another race, right? They represent another race. So even with Mary saying, let me go amongst the white people, she was saying, I'm one of them, right? Even though she wasn't one of them, she was trying to convince everybody in the juke joint that she had one drop of quote unquote. Hold on, let me see if I got the visuals. Right, I got visuals. Let's cook. Somebody asked me why I ain't talk about Shannon Sharp. Man, get comfortable. You just got here, fam. We gonna talk about Shannon Sharp and a whole bunch of other things. So give me 1 minute. And we're gonna have a smoke break too at the I'll tell you in a minute at what mark. Okay, so we got the screen up. All right. So the lesson in this movie was very profound, right? For anybody that pays attention to it, the lesson that they were telling you in this movie was very profound. A man can build success. He can lift himself out of poverty. He can earn the world's attention. But if he never learns control over his ego, his impulses, his wounds, he becomes a danger to himself and everyone around him. So they showed you that the first person who basically died in the twin was the red twin, right? It was the red twin, Stack, who could not control his impulses, and he was not supposed to sleep with that white girl inside of the club. He was not supposed to let her lure him into the quote unquote room to kill him, right? That started the whole chain of events that effed everything up. If he was standing on business when she said, I'm running out to talk to the white people, he would have been like, don't let her back in because she in here telling us that she black, but now she talking about I'm going to run out to talk to the white people. You can't be two things at once. She didn't have to do that. They should have stood on business. Y'all can't come in. We good. Keep it moving. Fuck out of here. And they would have been good, hypothetically, right? So Mary, for anybody that is not paying attention, is, let me see if she's in. I don't have a thing of Mary right now, right? But Mary is a white girl, right? Who passes. She's like Pinky, not from the brains and not the one giving brains. She's Pinky from the movie Imitation of Life, which is a black and white movie. And Pinky was a woman who was passing the character Pinky in that movie. She looks white, but she's not, and she's just passing and whatnot, and she's absorbed into white society. Okay, and it shows that there's an octoroon, is what they call them and whatnot, and a lot of people don't know how many of those people exist. Okay, a lot of the octoroons married into quote unquote what they call highbrow society, and they basically got absorbed and whatnot, and then they had children that were passing for white and fronting like they white because they have white fathers. A lot of that happened, a lot of that happened. But yeah, she was the weakest link. You know what I mean? From Ryan Coogler's perspective, she was the weakest link. And him not being able to control his lust, he was the weakest link too. You know what I'm saying? That's why he was the twin that died. Right? Um, real quick, when we talk about vampirism, real quick, when we talk about vampirism, real quick, when we talk about vampirism, let's bring it into the modern day context. Let's take it from the quote unquote imaginary and put it into the quote unquote real world, right? These are the vampires. These are the quote unquote people who can qualify as being lifeless. Okay. These are the vultures. These are the pillagers. These are the quote unquote synagogue of Satan, if you know what you're looking at. Study found that 1 in 5 corporate executives are psychopaths, the same rate amongst prisoners. So they lock up, the people that are selling the crack and whatnot and doing other things and bending the spoon and whatnot. However, they are just the same type of psychopaths who are protecting themselves behind rules that they made up and whatnot, while they do what? Commit sin and become sinners and whatnot, and commit all type of crimes against humanity and get cover, right? By blood sucking people, pillaging people, exploiting people, eating people, all type of shit. Okay, this is what we're talking about. This is the they that are not like us. This is the they that are not like us, that we don't vote for. We don't say they name favorably. We don't hail them up. We don't let them in. That's what not letting them in mean. You don't let them in your head. You don't let them in your heart. You don't let them in your bedroom. You don't let them in your motherfucking house around your children. You don't let them into your OBYN. You don't let them into your sacred spaces. You don't let them into your inner thoughts. Don't let the evils in. Don't let the vampire in. Alexa, play Lost Boys. The Lost Boys movie showed you that. Three main characters in the movie, right? The lovely Alice. I'm sorry I can't pronounce her name. Her name sounds beautiful too, and I'm learning it. I am learning her name, and I'm going to pronounce it and sing it proudly. I love this woman. You know what I'm saying? I love this woman. She is beautiful, right? We got Sammy, we got Cornbread and whatnot. Sammy, like I said, on a hero's journey, they have him propped up as the star of the movie. He's the one who survived all the way to the end. So the movie is about him, right? He's the one who was alive at the stories being told from his perspective. The twins are the legends and whatnot. You know, the Abeji who took him through the crossroad and even sacrificed themselves. And at the end, you see one of the twins is still around because he's a vampire. Ryan Coogler's Sinner is outperforming almost every single horror movie from the past decade, earning 71 million domestically already, projected to pass 100 million domestic by Sunday. Okay. Okay, I'm saying Alice, my bad, Annie. I'm saying her name is Annie, y'all. Annie, like Annie, right? Annie is from Lovecraft fame. All right. She played a beautiful role in Lovecraft Country as well. And now she's back for Sinners. Okay. And she did a dynamic job. Her main character, is a very pivotal character in the whole storyline because she was the oracle. She was the one who had protection. She was the one who was able to keep the fight going longer. She was the one who told them how to kill the vampires. She was the one who had the juju bag. She was the one who told them how to use the garlic. She was the one who had the knowledge about how to quote unquote slay the beast. If you fight something and don't understand the enemy or what it is that you're fighting, you're not going to win the fight. Only way that you'll win the fight is if you study your enemy. She studied him. She knew what it was. She was the data source, and she had the goods and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? She was the source. She was the big mama. Okay, she's big mama, preparing you for the fight, preparing you for the war, preparing you for spiritual warfare, preparing you for fights on higher principalities, covering you, praying for you. She said, I pray for you, even though they did not, they were on odds and whatnot because they have shared the trauma of losing a daughter. Both of them had a daughter that they lost, and they were going through healing and whatnot. So he went away to heal, and now he's back. Teachers can use Sinner as a powerful Black history lesson. Don't let these people talk about they're going to take your history out of school. Don't let these people talk crazy. If they talking like that, take them out of school and bring them to us. You know what I'm saying? Bring them to us so we can teach them. We are developing curriculums. We are developing tablets and all type of alternative solutions so we can help these children and edify them with proper history and enrich them with history, not rob them in history, not scare them, not put them in fear, not drown them in falsehoods and whatnot. Give them proper programming, proper history, proper mystery, proper folklore, right? Proper folklore, proper stories, proper characters. These characters are not going to exist like a Medea. No disrespect to Tyler Perry. I'm not trying to drag another melanated man, but they not like us. You understand? He outside with Remick and them. Let's just call it for what the fuck it is. He's outside with Remick and them doing the Irish dance. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the fact that we could bring characters to life. We could tell stories. We don't have to ask for permission anymore. It's time. It is time. It's so many stories that we could tell. They want to take textbooks out of school. Cool. We're going to teach them through the video games. We're going to teach them through the cartoons. We're going to teach them through the movies. We're going to teach them through the comics. We have control of all of that fantasy, industry, complex, reloaded. And since we started the workshop, they have dropped a toolbox worth of AI tools. You literally could do a movie right now. You literally could do a movie right now. Use the movies to teach the babies called edutainment. Use the movies to teach the babies called edutainment. Use the webisode series. Use the comic books. Use the toys. Use the video games. Use the animation and whatnot to teach the children. He was able to teach the children. He was able to teach adults. he was able to teach white people, and he was able to teach people around the world about a group of people and put it plain because they know what they're looking at. They could see the subtleties. Remember, this is a layered script. This is a layered script. The reason why he's being held up and the reason why it scored 100% tomatoes at Rotten Tomatoes is because of the fact that it's telling three stories at once. It's not one layer. They wouldn't just give it a one layer. They're trying to say, oh, this is like they he obviously was watching Dusk to Dawn. No, he wasn't. He didn't mention Dusk to Dawn as the main inspiration. Ryan Coogler, I believe everything that Ryan Coogler says. Ryan Coogler is not a code switcher. Ryan Coogler is not a bootlicker. Ryan Coogler is not a tap dancer. Ryan Coogler is not one of them. He's one of us. You understand? He gets in them interviews and he sounds all the way Oakland, my nigga. He grabs his nuts and he stands on his business. And he is who he says he is. He shows up authentically himself in proper persona. Y'all niggas should take notes. So check this out. The Chinese in Jim Crow South. You know what I mean? Nobody knew about China, man, them. Yeah, in Jim Crow South.
When I think about how the Chinese came and just settled in the Delta from Memphis to Vicksburg, I mean, just look at it. It really filled a particular need because nobody else wanted to do it.
These stores played a uniquely important role in the segregated South, serving the Black community when the white community wouldn't. And this was significant because it meant more than 70% of the population got their groceries and everyday goods from a tiny Chinese community. Frida's family store in Minsang started out in the 1930s as two different buildings across the street from each other. One serving Black people, the other serving white people. Neither Black nor white, the Chinese community found themselves in the middle.
It was like a 3-lane road. There were the whites and the blacks and the Chinese. We all stayed in our lanes and we were fine until we crossed over.
The Chinese grocers depended on the Black community for business and also served them in very practical ways.
Right. So once again, part of our history that was not taught to us through all of the years of them teaching us things through sitcoms, movies, and all type of things, right? They conveniently leave that part out. Okay. They conveniently leave that part out, that they've been setting these people up ever since the 30s to do what they ultimately set them up to do, what they're doing now. And they just recently broke the treaty and started telling us about the fucking bag and where to and they're the plug and they want to do business with us. And then I Show Speed went over there and had a fucking Michael Jackson moment and whatnot, and they were following him like he was an emperor, right? And they were showing melanated people that, you know what, we're gonna stop fronting and start acting like we don't owe y'all nothing and whatnot. We're gonna stop acting like we hail up these Europeans like they the greatest thing since cornbread. We hate them too. You know what I mean? We see the demons in them as well. However, now you have the gooish media is trying to downplay the movie, right? The white fragility apparatus is taking to trying to write sideways articles about sinners, right? They're reporting it in a backwards type of way, and they're getting called out by their quote unquote people of their race and whatnot. You feel me? Because once again, it's going to make zeta males, beta males, and all type of other people who have this false sense of superiority because they're used to seeing us and depicted as meek, subservient, scary, and weak, right? Compromised, debilitated, right? Rather beaten down and worn down. They want to hear a Kuta Kinte chant, right? They would rather stand on dead cadavers like George Floyd, right? And Mike Brown and all of the other people that they exploited and things of that nature. They rather stand on carcasses and corpses of men that are not breathing and claim that they have respect and love for them than to actually stand up for the people who are breathing and, who are right here, right now. Right. So they are afraid of our success. Our success means that we're waking up. China saying that we are welcome over there to begin to do $1 billion business. That puts them in fear states. They're probably wiping their brow right now because we're not basically having a run on the bank and running over to Asia to quote unquote cut the middleman out and to do the type of business that the twins did when they went to Chicago and came back to Mississippi with the Bolita. That's the same thing that you'll be doing if you go to China and come back with the Bolita and whatnot. The equivalent of them coming back with those trucks full of moonshine and quote unquote liquor during prohibition is the equivalent of you going to China with 10 bands, 100 bands, or $10 million and coming back with everything that we need to function as a society and as a nation. Stop buying your underwear from them. And I'm speaking about these Europeans. I'm speaking about these corporations. I'm speaking about BlackRock. I'm speaking about these quote unquote Italians. I'm speaking about these ghoulish people and whatnot. Buy your underwear, buy your undergarments, buy your clothings, buy your quote unquote your pants, your shirts. All of these things need to be coming from your own people. All right. If this movie didn't show you that it's time for separation, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to be around for the next movie, maybe, but listen, we got work to do. We can't stick around and wait around and hope the niggas get it. This is enough proof to show people. I don't know about segregation. I know about separation. I don't know about segregation. I know about separation. I don't know about segregation. I know about separation. Segregation was tried, it was done, and it was successful. When we were segregated, we were lit, we were popping, and we had businesses. We had inventors. Where's the movies about the inventors? So we could do a movie about the sinners with the twins and whatnot. Give us 10 movies about black inventors and shoot it. Have Ryan Coogler or his students or whatnot study his style, have him put a book out and clone that shit and have people do movies in that style to tell the story about the inventors, tell the story about Simeon Toko, tell the story about the quote unquote giants that were in the quote unquote Mississippi Nile Valley giants. Go all the way back into Mississippi. If y'all really want to go there, take the hero twins in Mississippi and tell that story. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Like go all the way back. You know what I'm saying? Rumor has it that Stack had a girl in Chicago pregnant, and then she had a child, and that child had a child, and his name was Wayne Moreland, and that was Red and Blue's father. But that's a whole nother story. Look, could we just appreciate beauty for one moment in the age of AI and European beauty standards? And what we've been seeing so much that's being shown to us by groups of people who we learning they have agendas against us. They don't care about us. They want to create something that's not real. Look, we have an epidemic, y'all. This is not an attack on anybody, but this is an attack on everybody, right? So there's an epidemic taking place, and it needs to be spoken, right? Because this lady right here is an endangered species. Okay, unfortunately, right? There's this epidemic taking place, right? And it's no judgment. It's just a smudgment, and this is almost like this would be like if you prompt the AI and it gives you a response. All right, fake teeth, right? Shout out to fake hair, fake designer, right? Fake views, fake followers, fake fans, fake food, fake liquor, fake booty, fake Jordans, fake hairlines, fake diamonds, fake Zaza, fake religion, fake history, fake dollars. Niggas got prop money. Fake dreads. Niggas got extensions on their locks. Right? So this is the fake world, a fake society, a quote unquote simulation that's been created all around us. And people are living in this shit. And we gotta exist within that. And they want us to forget what real looks like, right? The hospital lied to you, the school lied to you, the healthcare system, the whole system, including insurance, they all lied to you. The food lied to you. There's literally gas stations filled with weapons of mass destruction, chemicals, and all type of shit, right? Processed food, motherfucking grenades, right? They got the gas station, then they got the supermarket. No, then they got the grocery store, then they got the supermarket, then they got the box stores like Costco. All of them have chemicals that they outlawed. Red D40 and all of that. Talk to RFK Jr., right? He's showing you these people are poisoning you, literally, right? Entertainment lied. The entertainment lied. These entertainers wasn't even entertaining us. They were entertaining us. You understand? They were not entertaining us. They literally were not green lighting no films that will feed us for centuries. These Hollywood lizards and whatnot, right? These Hollywood lizards like the Weinsteins and the Goldsteins and the Bergs and all of them. This man had to he tried for 5 years. The dude that made Black Panther, mind you. So if the director of Black Panther and he won a Grammy for Fruitvale Station, Ryan Coogler, who refuses to code switch and get around other people who are paler than him and switch up the inflections and the tonality in his voice and lose his native accent. He does not want to domesticate himself. He does not want to be with a pink toe. He does not want to water himself down. Therefore, you will not get green lit for a project in Hollywood, even though you've proven yourself. 5 years, right? For him to get a movie done. And you mean to tell me that we gonna sit around and wait for somebody to do the kind of movies that we want? The Moorish epic saga, right? We bringing back love stories and whatnot, so we can give praise to our goddesses. We doing movies about black gods and goddesses. No, we not waiting for nobody. We're not waiting for anybody hands and knees and whatnot. We're going to create our destiny, right? By self-funding, okay? And by choosing our own destiny and utilizing the tools that we have available to tell the stories that we got to tell. Just a random thought. If they decide to make a plush doll of her in the merch line for the movie, I'm buying multiple copies. Plush doll. You make your money. You could recoup the whole money that you spent, Ryan, with the plush dolls of, books to read. If you love sinners, is getting our people into the books now. It's getting our people into the books now. It's getting people reading Octavia Butler, different authors and whatnot. You know what I mean? Look at the shift taking place, right? Look at the shift taking place. Old slave versus new slave. Physical versus mental. That's what the movie is showing you as well. Kanye said that slavery is an option or it's a choice, and they crucified him and try to cancel him. But theoretically, like when you really look at it, that's what he means. Like, look at that. It's a choice to be a label whore. It's a choice to sign a contract and be a perpetual slave or an asset for Black Rock and the bankers and what. That is a choice. You signed the contract. You didn't read the contract thoroughly. Didn't have 3 different people read it. Didn't even let the AI read it. Just signed it. You volunteered for the slavery. When the devil came knocking and you opened the door, you volunteered for the slavery. You let him in. You saw Lost Boys. You told him, you let him in. Speaking of that, I can't forget that we finally get an apology, right? Just to show you how things are falling. Oh, who remembers when I closed out the year and I was doing the losers of the year? And I said the losers of the year is hip hop media, the new media that they're calling the quote unquote kings of media, which are all agents. And I named them by their names. I didn't play shy and whatnot. I said Vlad, Adam 22, who is Adam 12, right? Academics, right? I said that form of media, especially through the Kendrick and the Drake battle, showed you that is the most toxic form of hip hop media that exists. It's all federal. It's a quote unquote Jerry Springer version of journalism. not 1 quarter later, which would be about 4 months later, just to show you the power of the word, right? Just to show you the power of the word, which is the sword. Don't ever let anybody say that you talk too much when you know how to speak things into existence and you could conjure shit up with the word, right? Not but 4 months later, Vlad has fallen, right? Adam 22 has fallen. Academics has fallen. Because when we talked about that whole shit at the end of the year, it wasn't even before the fall of it wasn't even before all of the shit that you seeing with all of these niggas being accused of being federal agents, Rico's dropping, Adam 22 talking about he's broke, he can't afford his thing, he's selling his thing, Vlad apologizing to Farrakhan, kissing the ring, but it's too late, right? It's too late because you got to watch these people. They mad tricky though. They mad tricky because remember, it's still about data. They'll do real confrontational shit just to get the data, right? To bring people over here. They're doing spectacles. They're doing Jerry Springer type shit, fights, arguments, scripted, fake shit, wrestling. Keep in mind, Adam 22 he's into the quote unquote flesh industry, or he's a porn star, right? He's on Pornhub, right? He exploits these black men, right, to do minstrel shows and gets paid for it. Okay. And these people have the nerve to be called the leaders of the media in hip hop. That is an insult. I don't give a fuck how many views they got. I don't care who they interviewed, right? When you go on Vlad, this is what you see, right? So he's doing an apology to Farrakhan that he knows is going to go viral and whatnot. He just pops out of nowhere and decides he was wrong and he wants to apologize to Minister Farrakhan, right? And then when you go on the page, this is the first thing that pops up. He's collecting data, right? So he's collecting everybody's personal data. So what these platforms have always been before they revealed it was data collection, quote unquote, operations, right? Just to collect millions upon millions of people's data who visited these sites, you know what I mean? Who had cookies attached to their profiles and whatnot. That way they're able to break into people's phones, you know. Tonight we were going to talk about there was a story that broke. Ian Carroll broke a story about a cyber spying hacker scandal that broke in Italy that involved Is It Real, with a new form of spyware that they're using after they got rid of the former spyware because it was responsible for the execution of the news reporter that they caught in Saudi Arabia and basically unalived them, chopped them up, got, you know what I mean, did them dirty and whatnot. And his phone was being tracked by this spyware and whatnot. They got rid of that, and then they popped up with a new spyware. We were going to talk about that, but that deserves its own show. So we're going to get to that maybe on Saturday Night Live or Sacrilegious Sundays, but we're going to explore that. But yeah, Vlad TV is out here farming for data. Don't trust it. Don't even visit his site. That shit is a dub. Shannon, my brother, there's so much to be talked about with this whole situation. But once again, it's the same thing that they showed you in Sinners and whatnot with Stack and the white girl and whatnot. Like there's a pattern. There's a pattern if you really look at it, where a lot of people are falling short because of their proclivities and the lack that they're not mastering their lower self, and it's hyper sexualized, over saturated, sensory heavy, right? Very sensory heavy, stimulated stimuli simulation that we're in, this echo chamber that we're in, right? They almost make it impossible to be a master. Yo, Deion Sanders said he never masturbated, bro. Deion Sanders said he got diamond hands, bro. He said he never beat his meat, right? If I could take it back to my Deion Sanders days, I would. Okay. Um, Men are falling into a lust pit of fire. When you look at, and I don't mean to bring up people in this community while I'm talking about Shannon Sharp, but the Shannon Sharp story, outside the fact that he was sleeping with a 19-year-old European mid OF model, right? A succubus, a mid OF model, who are basically call girls, right? This is a new legion of call girls who actually have their call girls whose business card is basically their own channel of live smut, right? You get a call girl and you get to see them in action, right? For a small fee. So dudes is, they go into the harem, right? They, pimping ain't dead, it's online. They go to OnlyFans and they ordering chicks on Uber Skeets, right? And HoreDash, right? They're ordering box on HoreDash and Uber Skeets from OF, but he chose to get a 19-year-old mid Beckington, right? When he got aunties out there, they were ready to smack bellies with this pigeon toe nigga just because. You know what I'm talking about? There was women who were of higher quality. They could have gave this dude a run for his money. He's paying a lot of money for some mid cheeks, y'all. So what was revealed was that if you don't master yourself, if you don't master your lower self, fuck all of that money and everything. He who has the most self mastery, he who can discipline himself to the last day. You can't slip up even on the last day. You literally have to walk a certain type of walk if you want to be considered a god on this plane of existence that we're in. And I'm speaking to everybody and myself at the same time. Like, there are so many cases that I could point out about us, the men, because it's the men. The men have the phallus. We are the ones that are being trapped. We're trapped. We're being trapped by ourselves, and it's a trap. It's trap music. Every one of the teachers in this community that's in purgatory is because of their quote unquote the law, the fight that they lost with their lower selves. Let's talk about it. Right? The movie showed you the most pivotal scene was when Stack got killed. That changed everything around. That was the most pivotal scene that broke the whole script up. That changed everything. He died because of his lust. He didn't have to sleep with that white girl or that octoroon, or that bright girl. He didn't have to sleep with her. He didn't have to skeet. He was supposed to be on business all night, on high alert, especially after those vampires came to the door. He was game goofy for that. And because he slipped up and he wasn't on his dean and whatnot, his Sarata Mustaqim, and he let his second brain take over, right? He was persecuted for it. He becomes the walking dead. The succubus sucked him up. You feel me? The Jezebel got to him, you know? Um, yeah, the black sister who was married and went and slept with my good brother, let him get here the first time he tried out some cunnilingus, Sammy. Sammy got to eat some box and whatnot, and she was the Jezebel. She was the Jezebel in this whole thing. Everybody was a sinner. The twins were gangsters. They were robbers and whatnot. They were shooters. You know what I'm saying? So they were sinners in that right. My dude, man. This my guy. This my guy. Indian from Delroy Lindo. It's my dude, man, for life. You know, he played the hell out of that role. You know, Delta Slim. You feel me? Delta Slim. His vice was alcohol. You know, Delta Slim's vice was alcohol. You know, and did we even get back to Annie? Let me just share this thing with him. I gotta get back to Annie. So I saw a video where Tracy, where she was talking about she want to date younger dudes and whatnot, and they understand that. I think these two would have been a good match, man. He could have swooped her off of her feet. They would have been together, man. Because at the end of the day, no disrespect to Tracy Ellis Ross, but I don't know if the young boys are trying to lock it down and settle down and be your boyfriend. You know what I mean? I don't think the young boys are trying to get wifed up right now or, get married at this point. I can't say, I can't speak on it because she says she only want young boys. So when she say that, I'm thinking about streamers and shit. I'm like, okay, and then she says she doesn't like the older men because they don't like fluidity. So I'm like, oh, she looking for the Playboy Cardis and King Carson niggas. That's what she wants. She want fluid young boys. She want the young boys that are like androgynous and whatnot. She was watching Playboy Cardi at Rolling Loud. So I know what she's saying. She want those young boys who are just, they fluid. They let everything fly because she could go to the red carpet with them. She could be around vampires with them. She could be around the vampires in Hollywood because the young boys like Little Uzi, ASAP Rocky, Tyler the Creator, Playboy Cardi, you know what I mean? All of them are semi, vampire, gothic, you know what I mean? They tippy toe in that world a little bit. Young boy, he paints his face and whatnot. He got fingernails, but they're like gangsters. So they'll be like the gangster. They'll be like the Stack, who's a gangster vampire, right? So like Playboy Cardi's a gangster vampire in the industry, right? He's a blood who be murking shit, but he's a vampire, right? And that's the wave. So even before this movie came out, the number one artist a month ago was Playboy Cardi, who's a vampire. He has a movement called Vamp Life, right? And when you look at the people following him, the aesthetic that his stylist um is Burberry, and then there's the white girl, and there's some other people around him. They create that aesthetic for him to look like he's a vampire. Like it's dealing with gothic meets rap meets grunge. It's like an intersection, but it's a whole fucking wave. So that this the opium movement where all of the kids wearing all black, right? And they doing vamp shit, they vamp life, right? So it's already in the culture. That's aesthetic nihilism. We talked about that. But back to these two, yeah, they should have yeah, they look good together, right? Fun fact that the brother who you saw in the movie, the 8-time Grammy winner, Buddy Guy, who shows up in the number one movie in America, Sinners, is the father of rapper Shauna, formerly of Disturbing the Peace. Did you know that? Did you know that that's her father? Right? You see how she had quote unquote lyrical, she was like a Meg the Stallion with her flow before Meg the Stallion. Her father is a world renowned blues singer, but this is how vulture the community is, or this is how vulture the industry is, or this is how vulture the vampires are. They didn't even put them together to do a song. You would expect an album with your dad, who's a legend. If you were in a healthy environment, that probably would have happened. You know what I mean? I'm just speculating, but I'm just saying, I know that's shit that the industry does. They didn't even let the people know these type of things. This is good information. She still raps. Okay, well, you don't never stop rapping. She's top tier of her genre in her day and time. She was top tier. She was pressure for dudes. She was a problem. Shout out to LaRussell, right? He's breaking the mold. He's showing people how to do it. He's giving people the blueprint. He's helping people break out of slavery. He's saving the slaves. He's helping them get off niggas off the plantation. He's showing you it could be done. He's a living, breathing example and whatnot. He's an abolitionist because this is literally slavery we're talking about. These contracts are slavery. The same thing that they was gonna do to Sammy is they did to every single person they signed to the label. That's them biting them. That's them taking them into the fucking outside, into the fold amongst the nigga. You one of us now. And then for people to break the contract is almost akin from a vampire trying to become a human again. Right? That's why they say they own niggas in perpetuity through your reincarnations. You know what perpetuity means? It doesn't mean one life. So be careful what fucking paper we sign. All of us. Right? Adam 22 says no jumpers going broke due to high overhead, losing IG account. No, this is Danny. This is the movie. We saw it before in the movies with Johnny Depp when they called him off the field. Remember In Too Deep? Huh? Remember In Too Deep when they called him off the field? Right? The movie with LL Cool J, he was in too deep. So they called him back. Deep cover. They try to get him out of there. Donnie Brasco with Johnny Depp. He was in too deep. And after the case was over, they called him out of the field. This dude was probably not one of the first, but one of the highest ranking, quote unquote, paid operatives who was able to cosplay as a podcaster, but he was on assignment. This is Adam 12, Adam Grand Mason. Come on, come on. Let's stop playing around. This shit opened up a can of worms of ignorant, quote unquote, gangbanger, quote unquote, vampirism type, motherfucking hateful energy type, low frequency, blood sucking, you know what I mean? Living dead, walking day walker energy. That's what they represent. That's not life over there. They're not giving life. They're not giving no goddamn motherfucking. They're not dropping no gems. You know what I'm talking about? They're not slaying no demons. That's the protocols. At the end of the day, either you slaying demons or you outside with them. The fuck? Either you preparing for war, my nigga, or you fool. Come on now. In medieval Germany, husband and wives could fight in a marital duel in order to legally settle their disputes. These are some of the people that became vampires. These are some of the people that became the vampires. Do your history about the people that they sent over here. Because like I was saying with the Choctaw movie will show you that the European pilgrims that they sent over here, they have vampires hiding amongst them. When they were going to these villages and all of these Europeans were dead, that's because of vampires. When they sent vampires in some of those ships and they were cleaning out the cargoes, the ship would arrive and everybody would be goddamn, they would be turned. They were unleashing all type of deities and demons and vampires. But like I said, they're showing you if you're into any type of system of magic, then if you watch American Gods on TV, like we were talking for years, American Gods, they'll show you that they have the parody for that vampire is real. People have their souls trapped. People have been possessed. You know? So let's talk about Annie real quick. Just give her her props and whatnot. So once again, she was the oracle. She made the talisman for smoke, right? She knew how to protect. She knew what a vampire was. She knew how to defeat it. She knew how to get rid of it, what roots to do. She knew what killed the vampire. Okay? So she was very powerful. Every man or woman who are on the front lines dealing with these people who deal with witchcraft, they deal with Wicca, they deal with spell casting, they deal with hexes and whatnot. I would suggest, if you don't have one, that you find yourself someone that they portrayed her in the movie as. That's very important moving forward. That's your protectorate. I hope that charlatans don't begin to try to take the place of these divine women, and the real ones that are in our community get the shine that they deserve and begin to, get into a brighter light, because they've been persecuted, looked down upon. I've heard stories from people that I know to say when they date, when they go into the dating scene, if they're around people who are not knowledgeable about the craft and whatnot, they'll see candles, and they'll be like, or they'll see them burning sage and be like, oh, what are you, a witch or something? Or what do you know what I mean? Like, not knowing, not even giving her props, not saying, oh, yes, Ashe, please smudge me, you know, please pray over me, please speak over me in tongue and whatnot, please bliss me. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not training these brothers and sisters, but I'm hearing mostly from the sisters that it's the brothers that are getting into their fake ass Roman Christianized bag and getting spooky and whatnot. So I'm glad that that profile was raised in this movie. I know how movies program people. It's going to be a softening of the Bruja, and they're going to welcome her wisdom and whatnot. So this was a good look for Big Mama. This was a good look for Big Mama. Um, in the hero's journey, she played a humongous part in this. Remember, this is a hero's journey tale. It is about Sammy on the hero's journey. The full circle of the hero's journey is him coming back to the church. No, it's not even him coming back to the church. It's him later on down the line, years later, when he sees Stack, in the 90s. You dig? So that's what you're seeing in this beautiful, well-written story and whatnot. But yeah, Hogwood is the name of the KKK who sold the twins the juke joint, but it was a slaughterhouse where they were doing the rituals, because in the movie they talk about the hates. The hates are the demonic possessions that the Ku Klux Klan and the rednecks and the trailer trash have, right? That's the hates and whatnot. And then you have the vampires, who are the people who are basically, they've been given ageless immortality. They're after immortality, like the technocrats are after immortality, like the quote unquote transhumanists are after immortality. The same pursuit, right? Agelessness, immortality. That's what the vampires were offering in their deal to Sammy, if he would give up the host and whatnot and allow them to suck him of all of his looch, all of his energy, all of his quote unquote spark and light and things of that nature, right? Like how they did Henrietta Lacks, like how they did Aaliyah in that movie Queen of the Dam. When Lestat, right? Lestat. So keep in mind with Lestat move, the Lestat show is out. So I'm gonna go watch the Lest. I'm sure it's very because it was skip worthy. There's a lot of pausable scenes in it in that series. There's a lot of pausable scenes. An interview with a vampire, but the story is deep. It's a black man as a protagonist, and Lestat, who's from France, is also in there. And they together type shit. They're together. They Fosse Hole vampires. right? They fussy whole vampires. And yeah, it's crazy. But these conversations about the vampires and the vampire energy, the energy vampires, the spirit cookers, all of that is surfacing, and that's very good for us. Okay, that's very good for us. Because that's when people will begin to look themselves in the mirror and seek some type of they have a pathway towards both healing. They have a pathway towards the exit, how to leave this bitch. They have a pathway towards solutions because there's people who are looking for solutions, and this movie is showing them the solutions, right? Um, so Sammy is the Neo, Sammy is the Golden Key, Sammy is the Messiah. Sammy is the gift, right? There are many of you who are Sammy. You've been approached by the devil himself, right? There are pretty women out there. There are talented men out there. There are quote unquote talented men and women all over the. I'm just saying, you've been approached by the devil himself. You've been approached by they've knocked on your door, they've knocked on your window, they've managed to pull up on you, and they introduce themselves and they try to proposition you or propose to you. Okay, this is what happens to the chosen ones in this existence and in this real world, and that's what they were showing you as well in this movie. Okay, Sammy was that person. When you come eye to eye with the devil, you have to be centered. You have to know who you are, or you will be swept up and you will be bitten and you will get turned and you will get flipped. And like Terrence Howard said, they will take your manhood and you will no longer be yourself anymore. They will, quote unquote, take over the body or take over the soul, trap the soul, shatter you, like the movie. What's the movie where he's broken up into 1,000 different people? Um, what's the movie where he has different people and whatnot, right? That's showing you. Even the movie Shattered with Samuel Jackson and whatnot, and this movie is a take on that, right? It comes after Shattered. Split, right? Split, right? And Glass, right? So Split and Mr. Glass and whatnot, they break you into multiple personalities, multiplicities, alter egos and whatnot. When they quote unquote implant, that's why they say Diddy turned into a demon, right? They say they got film and tapes of him shape shifting. Why? Because Clive Davison and put demons in them. You know what I'm talking about? Through those rituals and whatnot, they put all type of entities into these people. Henceforth, when you see Remick in them, who are the vampires, he takes form where he has sharp teeth, long fingernails, and whatnot. He turns into a hideous creature. Why? Because there's shapeshifters out here. You understand? They got niggas is shape shifting out here, and you'll see people's fangs, and that be the last time that you see them and whatnot. You gonna pray that you be able to get away from shit like that, but they have that out. There's prostitutes, women of the night, and there's people who are really in the underworld. They will tell you about certain things like that, and these are people from like Europe. These are Russians. These are Ukrainians. These are Ashkenazis and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? And they show you them in a movie, but they really outside in real life, and they're definitely in the Hollywood Hills, where they be at in the hills like bats in caves, right? So Stack's vice was lust. Delta Slim's vice was alcohol. I want y'all to name other people's vices and whatnot, so we could keep this thing interactive and whatnot. You feel me? I want to be able to interact because I don't want to be the only one speaking about this because I'm not the only one that saw the movie. Like I said, me and Blue will be doing the decoded. We're going to be going all the way in. You already know. I'm going to be doing that on Patreon because I need to play video. I need to play the movie clips. all that type of shit. And I don't need nobody telling me what I can and can't do like I'm a child. So black men need somewhere to heal, yo. They need somewhere to heal, bro. Mentally, spiritually, um, emotionally. You feel me? Their proclivities are taking them down, right? Their proclivities are taking them down. Bill Cosby, that's his he went down based off of what? Not controlling his desires, not being in control of lust, not being in control of his lower self, right? Losing that fight. He fell. R. Kelly, losing that fight. He fell. Brother Polite, Rashad Jamal, Nature Boy, losing the fight. They fall, right? Falling, the fallen, right? This is an epidemic. This is an epidemic. They have Dr. York in ADX for what? Allegedly losing that war, losing that fight, not mastering the lower self. So this is something Africa Bambaataa, not controlling the lower self. Right? Africa Bambaataa losing the fight, not controlling the lower self, and now he's in danger of being quote unquote taken out and put into purgatory where they lock you in like a battery cell and feast off of your frequency and your energy and all type of things. So if somebody is innocent or not, I'm telling you the script and how it's written and what's going on and what the facts are right now. Until proven differently, that's what the facts are. So there's a pattern. And that pattern was shown in this movie that there are certain things that we have to be able to overcome. If Sammy was not able to overcome certain things, he probably would have been turned into a vampire, right? Shadow work is needed. Healing is needed. Therapy is needed. The shit that Ye is going through, right? That he's healing, regardless of how crazy it sounds, he's releasing, right? That's something that he would do in a shroom ceremony. He's still releasing, even though people are going to judge him and whatnot, but he's releasing. He's trying to heal. He doesn't have that burden. They can't blackmail him with that, because what these people do is they probably have videos and they blackmail people. Honeypots, honey operations. It's all about your proclivities, and your phone tells on you more and more ways than them bugging your phone in your house, them bugging your car. It's your phone now. So they have these I'm going to show you on the next show that we do. They have these tools that will hack any phone on the planet and get all of your information out, and they'll sell it to the highest bidder. This is a lucrative third party this is a lucrative third party net marketplace that they have. You know? So they show you that the main character, one of the twins, dies because he did not protect himself, and he was vulnerable. Then they also have another scene where the Chinese woman, She's vulnerable as well because they put her in fear, right? Because her daughter, who she left at home, she doesn't want her daughter to get attacked by vampires, right? So she puts everybody in the juke joint at risk to save her own child, right? So she becomes selfless as a parent and whatnot, and chooses the child over the safety of others. That is dangerous. That is not how you quote unquote operate and win a war. That's a mentality and a mind state that doesn't work in war. And it's hard to convince everybody that we are at war, especially mothers and women that are caring about their children and humanity and whatnot. Right? Henceforth, why we don't march our women off to war. So, yes, he let a Becky seduce him the same way that they said Shannon Sharp let a Becky seduce him, right? And think about it. They say in these situations, like in Hollywood, they'll have one of these famous actors and they'd be like, yo, I was in on coke, but my white girlfriend brought somebody back to the house. We had a menage. I tried coke for the first time. Then I was hooked. I wasn't on heroin until my white girlfriend introduced it to us when we were, chilling with these rich folks. I wasn't into this and this and that, but she brought him in, right? But she brought him in, right? So in the movie, she went outside and was game goofy and tried to go amongst people who she's not like. Don't try to be stop code switching, stop trying to fit in squares inside of circles and whatnot. She went amongst them and she got bodied. She got bodied. Yes, and the symbolism between conclave, what's going on with the Pope right now. We're going to tie that in. I'm going to let Pope Pablo cook that. Also, put on a record that after the movie came out, we got this. You understand? Right after the movie came out, we got this, a Pope pack. You know what I'm talking about? Let's talk about it. Right after the movie came out, we got that. Okay? There's no coincidence that we got that, right? It's no coincidence that we got a Pope pack when the movie came out. So these are the people who are outside of the juke joint. This is who they fuck with. These are the people that are inside of the juke joint that are not trying to get bit by the vampires. This is who they fuck with. It's the teachers of the master teachers that kept us inside of the motherfucking juke joint and not letting nobody in. The master teachers told us who not to let in. The master teachers told us about the vampires and the bloodsuckers. The master teachers told us about the contracts and the wayward ways of the people who come with the double tongue and whatnot. The master teachers told us about the recessives and whatnot, the pale faces. That's who the master teachers warned us about relentlessly, religiously, nonstop. And they've done it until their last days, some of them doing it penniless. That's who kept you in the house. If not for that, you would go outside the house. You would answer the calling. Yo, come out with me to the do a robbery. Come out with me to the strip club. Yo, you get the phone call. Come with me to the bar. You get the somebody knock at your door. Yo, come with me to this. I'm gonna go rob a bank. Yo, come with me to this. Yo, I'm gonna need you as a third man in this 3-man team. Da, 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 da. You be like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good, family. I'm gonna go meditate, my nigga. You know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna go watch some Bobby, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go finish this book. You don't let the devil in. You don't let the evils in. You feel me? The evils are coming through the frequencies of the sound waves and the light waves in these days. So it's coming through your computer, the succubus. So here it is that you trying to do something and stay focused, and you getting auto suggestions to take you off of your square and to bring you into places where you will be quote unquote highly disengaged and whatnot and distracted. You fight that urge. You push back against that and whatnot. You don't let the knocking takes place, and you don't let the devil in. You don't let the evils in and whatnot. You keep it moving and whatnot. You know what I mean? You think higher thoughts and whatnot. You throw on some of the master teachers. You throw on some opera music. You throw on some soul and whatnot. You throw on some blues and whatnot. You say a prayer. You know what I'm talking about? You don't let the devil in. That's what the movie is showing you. You know what I mean? You could get taken over. People are being taken over like the vampires were taking over the people that were coming outside of the juke joint and whatnot. Like the vampires were taking over the KKK. You could get taken over. You could become a host. You know what I mean? To a malefic spirit and whatnot. You could be a walkthrough. You gotta watch out who you sleep with, who you let beat up the box and whatnot. You gotta watch out who you lay with, brothers, who you stick your phallus into and whatnot, whose gates you enter. You feel me? And I don't mean to sound graphic and whatnot, but I'm speaking real fucking life. That's where a lot of the spells, spiritually transmitted diseases are taking place. Spiritually transmitted diseases. I can't save all of them, but I'm throwing capes out. You know what I'm talking about? I'm breaking the rules and I'm throwing the motherfucking cape out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to save one of y'all. You know what I mean? We told y'all relentlessly, don't do it. You know what I'm talking about? Don't do it, because once you go on that side, how could you come back? You considered a vampire at that point. You know what I'm talking about? Don't do it, because there's no coming back. Like Stat couldn't come back in the juke joint, my nigga, once he ran out. It's over with. So once y'all divest and go on that side, yeah, you know what I mean? You done tapped in. There's no tapping back. I'm sorry. That wasn't my rules either. They made those, you know what I mean? They wrote those rules. Take it up with them. That's what the ancestors said. Pimp Guard Sherrod and them. You gotta be careful out here. Shit is real. Spirit cookers, soul snatchers, graveyard pussy. You know what I'm talking about? All type of shit. Spiritually transmitted diseases, honey traps. You know what I mean? It's all type of shit. Don't chase that wave. Y'all niggas was running behind Polite, trying to be like him. I remember that. We're in the DH Gate Timu labels and designer. I remember y'all was trying to emulate and run behind the Jezebels and the succubuses and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? You niggas was trying to be on OnlyFans. You know, how did that work out for you? You know, we got to get back on our dean. We got to get back on our dean. We falling off of our dean as a people, as a collective. The women are becoming hypersexualized. We're not going to find mastery in hypersexualization. That is vampire. That leads to vampirism. The parables of the movie are clear and cut. Nobody is telling you to be a prune. Nobody is policing your body. Nobody is shaming you. I'm not doing none of the such. Me personally, this is my this disclaimer. But we all have to grow and evolve and practice forms of sacredness. You cannot coexist in this quote unquote where it's like World War Z right now. You understand? These niggas got the poison. They got them shots. They got a few other things. They got the 5G activating them. It's real in these fields. People are walking around with walk-ins, with entities in them. They're possessed. They got the juice in them. You know what I mean? They got the Jabberwocky turning them into cyborgs and magnets and shit. Niggas got forks attached to their head. Bro, you gotta watch. You have to. There's a series of tests that you gotta put anybody through before they touch you. Niggas gotta eat garlic. They gotta recite the top 10. They gotta recite 10 names of master teachers. You understand? They have to say some form of conscious pledge of allegiance. You better put these dudes through the ringers before they're able to breathe on you. I promise you. And for you brothers, we need yoni steams and pony steams. That's right. For you brothers, for the kings out there, for the kangs and whatnot, man, I know it's hard out here for a pimp. They got you surrounded by hypersexuality everywhere that you turn. They're speaking to your quote unquote red chakras. They're pitching to your quote unquote lower self. They're putting you in a honey trap. You feel me? I know it's hard out here. You know what I'm talking about? Everything is moving at a fast pace. However, my genius, if you can, I'm asking a lot of you. You know what I mean? I wouldn't ask anything of you that I didn't know that you could do. Moderation is key. That's all I will leave you with. Moderation is key. You feel me? You could be a legend and just, charge up your Tesla and not take that shit driving all the time. If you do go out all the time, make sure you're creating and manifesting worlds in that sacred act, right? Your blue light, your chi, your quote unquote aura is the most important thing that is protecting you in this quote unquote this prison planet that we're on, that everything is trying to get at you. Bacteria is trying to get at you, animals are trying to get at you, the spirits are trying to get at you, demons are trying to get at you, airborne type of pathogens are trying to get at you. There's a lot of things trying to penetrate your auric field. If you don't focus on mastering your lower self and self-mastery and getting into the gym and whatnot and eating right and listening to the right type of music and being a creative and whatnot and getting your quote unquote your mentals right, your auric field may be compromised. When your auric field is compromised, you might be one of those people who say that you hearing things. You might start having mental health issues because once the auric field is compromised, all type of shit starts coming through. So that's niggas that can't see get, and what's that, insomnia, right? That's a pierced auric field. You start hearing things. You can't sleep at night. You start hearing all type of voices in your head. You're having psychic attacks and whatnot. We got to strengthen our auras. That's the garlic. That's the juju. That was the protection. I hope I'm not being preachy, but if I don't hear nobody saying it, sometimes I just get out on the limb and I just say that shit because it has to be, really hammered home. People will start pointing fingers and making everybody else the bad guy and whatnot, and we're our own worst enemy. We are saints and sinners, my niggas. You know what I'm talking about? We take ourselves out. You know what I mean? We put ourselves underneath these spells. Nobody else. We let them in. And the movie is telling you, stop letting them in. Find some shit that's going to quote unquote strengthen you in this war against the quote unquote parasites or the demons or the evils, right? The music is powerful. Don't let it conjure up negativity though. Yeah, I don't listen to drill rap, but I listen to gangster shit when I'm in the gym because I'm at war. You feel me? I'm at war. And like I said, I'm listening to the reggae shit, the vibes, because I'm stabbing up the pum pum. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You still got to do your Kegel exercises because when you do represent, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You knocking shit out the park because that's very important too. You want to have the best intercourse that you can ever have. You want to create orgasms after all. You want to bring the motherfucker the waterfalls down. You know what I mean? Them sugar walls. You know what I'm saying? When you do touch something, you want to create an earthquake. That's the key. And you'll be able to do that when you build up your charge like a Tesla car, when you work on your breathing, when you do them Kegel exercises, when you stretch, you know what I mean? And just when you get right. When you get right, you know? because you'll have a lot to offer these women and whatnot who are looking for, you know, somebody that's going to deliver. You know what I'm talking about? I'm just keeping it real, right? They want somebody that's going to deliver, and they won't have to venture forth into the wilderness, you know what I mean, to drag knuckles with the knuckle draggers if you know, the kings is handling the business back at the kingdom. And I just leave it at that. But yeah, the music is the key. The movie showed you that. That's where the magic is. I'm so glad that I do music and I know the power of music. And I'm only getting started. And even Blue Pill, KT the Arch Degree, my grandfather, musician. This is something that's our bloodline. So we have this type of messianic gene, I feel, this God particle that if we really got into our bag, like if I dedicated this music shit, livicated it, and really tapped in, like so much magic will come out of that. So much magic will come out of that. I treat it like a hobby, and I know that it has magic to it, more magic than I even can fathom. Um, but yeah, they out here buying your soul, the ones who are the good musicians. Beware. Beware, beware, you will meet the devil. Beware, you will meet somebody who will come around and scheme and try to trap you. And you know, they don't just get into flattery. Get out of flattery. You know, get out of the flattery. Don't let nobody just riz you up and flatter you. You know what I'm saying? You know, be a little more mindful of what's taking place while you're being flattered. So yeah, man. Like I said, we're gonna make a big announcement about our upcoming lecture. We look forward to serving y'all. This will be the May Patreon. This is gonna be a big one. So all of my Patreons in May, get ready for a big one. This might be the biggest one for the year that we did. And I'm gonna make the announcement very soon. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna take it down. I did a lot of shows today. I did Ross Ben's show. If you didn't see that, go and check that out. If you're new to the channel, press the subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and also if you want to support the channel and keep independent media thriving and whatnot, and keep a platform such as this in a healthy state of functionality, go to buy me a coffee and, you know, go ahead, go into the shop, get you something. You know what I mean? We have a lot of merch in there. We have the goodies in there. We even have Ross Ben's book, Rock of All Ages, which is 25 years old today, right? Well, not today, in May. Yes, that buy me a coffee, know the ledger 444. Yeah, real quick word of from our sponsors. All right. Okay, we have, of course, the mart125.com, all right? That is the famous mall in Harlem where we got our names in front of, across the street from the Apollo. The mart125.com. We have many different collections of different designers and brands on the Mart. It is a super mall, but we definitely have the Master Teachers Collection. All right, the Master Teachers Collection is there. Make sure y'all go and get that. Spring is here, summer is here. We got the new drip. I'm wearing one of the shirts right now. Fear of a Black Planet. You know what I'm saying? A lot of new drip. You know, I got the box tee, the crop shirt. Also, the album is out. In case you didn't know, the 44 Tops album is out. That is on our page. Make sure you go ahead and get that. It's in Buy Me a Coffee inside of the shop. We send it signed, autographed. All right. 44 Tops album, and you'll get the digital download as well. Also, we just had the anniversary for this mixtape. This is available on Bandzoogle, right? Bandzoogle. Let me put that right there because we don't have I took all of my stuff off of streaming platforms because I don't appreciate how they pay people. So I'm not going to participate in that at all. I'm not doing paying me 75 cents for 100,000 screams type shit. No, I'm going direct to my people. And I took my stuff off of the streaming platforms until something changes. We're gonna go direct to consumer. So that's on our Bandzoogle. That's right there, Black Cloud ENT Bandzoogle. You could get our music. You could also get this album, 44 Tops. KTL University. We got replays of lectures. All of these lectures are classics because they got better in time. They age like fine wine. We was talking about the Pope heavy in Fear of a Black and More Messiah. Pope Pablo gave him a date. He told him he was out of here, and he's out of here, right? He's just a soothsayer. You know what I mean? He's not conjuring. He's just seeing the future. And then, of course, this is our most important class to date. Why? Because it has the potential to create a billionaire walking out of this workshop. Why? Because the comic book, the toy industry, the video game industry, the animation industry, and the cartoon industry combined are worth trillions of dollars. If you're able to carve just a piece of the pie in any one of those industries, you have the potential to generate billions of dollars. You're not going to get it tomorrow. You're not going to get it in a week. You're going to start out like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and them. You got to start out from somewhere. But I guarantee you, in a short amount of time, you will be able to scale your business or your brand or your character to millions and then billions of dollars if you follow the blueprint. You just can't wing it. If you follow the blueprint and you get this workshop and you follow the blueprint that we're laying out that you're not going to get from anywhere else, then boom, you in the building. So this is every Friday. It's for my Patreons as well. All of my Patreons, my top tier, $44 and up, y'all get access to this month-long workshop. But this is every Friday, 8 p.m. on Zoom. So every Friday, 8 p.m. on Zoom, we have the Fantasy Complex Industry Reloaded. Me and Spin City going all the way in. Shout out to all of my students and my KTLians that are in the building tonight. We appreciate you. And we'll see you in class tomorrow. All right. We're coming to H-Town in May. I have the date coming up. I will share that with you. We come in H-Town. Watch the party die, y'all. The party is dying. Just like Kendrick said, the party is dying. Kendrick is on tour. I'm going to have to catch that and whatnot. And then we have these as well. I'm going to keep you updated on these. You feel me? I will definitely keep you updated on those. That's a Snapple fact. You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to keep you updated on those. Be very mindful of that, man. We ain't playing. Because at the end of the day, working on the op packs is something that these billion-dollar corporations taught us. These are premium op packs. You understand? Premium op packs. Somebody around the world has an op on one of these packs. Might not be you, but there's somebody around the world, and this is their ops. Because they were responsible for the murderation of one of their peoples. They were responsible for destroying one of their quote-unquote communities and whatnot. Premium op packs. The billion-dollar record companies, they taught us about op packs. We were smoking on op packs. You know what I mean? Young black kids, teenagers from Chicago and the hood and whatnot. These billion-dollar corporations bankrolled that war, that spiritual war against the dead and whatnot. UMG, Sony, Warner, Atlantic, they funded the drill rappers, right, in their campaign to push op packs. So now we have op packs and premium op packs. We got the Rothschilds. We got the quote-unquote lizards and whatnot. You know what I mean? We got the op packs on deck. You feel me? And it won't even be marijuana. It's going to be CBD. You feel me? Y'all smoke enough marijuana. We're going to have some bud that can actually heal you. So if you got body aches and whatnot, and you need some healing, then we got the bud that's going to heal you. It's going to be in the op pack. Because smoking this op pack should not get you high. Smoking this op pack should get you by. It should get you fly and whatnot. It should make you feel like the world is basically in your hands and whatnot. And the ops. Shout out to the Smokestack Twins selling them op packs, baby. The Smokestack Twins is coming with them op packs. I got a whole bunch of packs for y'all. The Smokestack Twins are coming with the smoke packs. I got premium op packs. So tap in. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you for the next broadcast. That will be Saturday Night Live, Sacrilegious Sunday. For my students, we will see you in class for tomorrow, Friday. Look out for the decoding of Sinners, Red and Blue Pillar, coming very soon.
Red, blue, purple light. Red, blue, purple light.